Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. Inshallah, we will be covering Surah Al-Ikhlas today in the Quran class. Just get the document ready. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. The introduction of Surah Al-Ikhlas by Hazrat Muslim Maud anhu. He says that this is one of the earliest Meccan surahs in the view of Hassan, Ikramah, and above all Ibn Masud, one of the earliest of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's companions. However, Ibn Abbas, though much younger than Abdullah bin Masud, but regarded as one of the most learned companions, thinks that the surah was revealed at Medina. In view of these conflicting opinions of these two very respected companions of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, some commentators of the Holy Quran are inclined to think that the surah was revealed twice, first at Mecca and then at Medina. Among the Orientalists, Muir places it among the earliest Meccan surahs, while Noldike assigns it to the end of the first period, about the 4th year of the call. In view of the importance of its subject matter, the surah has come to be known by several names, of which are At-Tafrid, At-Tarrid, At-Tawheed, Al-Ikhlas, Al-Marifa, As-Samad, Al-Athath, and An-Nur. Because it deals with the basic religious belief, unity of God, the surah has the distinction of being called by the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam as the greatest of all the Quranic surahs. Aisha is reported to have said that before going to bed, the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to recite this and the last two surahs at least thrice, 3 times. The surah is entitled Ikhlas because its recitation and deliberation over its subject matter is calculated to foster in the reader a deep attachment to God. What adds to the great importance of the surah is the fact that while Al-Fatiha is considered to be a resume of the whole of the Quran, the present surah, together with the two succeeding it, repeats and rehearses the theme of the subject matter of Al-Fatiha. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, the Gracious, the Merciful. Au nom d'Allah, le Gracieux, le Miséricordieux. Allah ke naam ke saath, jo be intaha rahm karne wala, bin mange dene wala, or bar bar rahm karne wala hai. The first word which we covered many times, but there's blessings in repeating The first word in Arabic is bi, which is translated in Arabic as with. En français, au, Urdu में साथ. Ism is name in English. En français, nom. And Urdu में naam. And Allah remains the same in all languages. Ar-Rahman is gracious in English. En français, le gracieux. Urdu में rahim karne wala. Ar-Rahim is translated in English as merciful. En français, le miséricordieux. Urdu में दिन मांगे देने वाला, बार बार रहम करने वाला. The promised Messiah, in commenting on the Surat al-Fatiha and this ayat, the Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, says that you are also aware that the names Muhammad and Ahmed are reflections of the attributes Rahman and Rahim, and that they have been invested with all the excellences of the two great attributes of Allah, the all-knowing, the wise. So the promised Messiah is explaining on how the names Muhammad and Ahmed are the divine reflections of Allah's attributes, and they, as prophets, when they come into this world, they come and they reflect the attributes, the qualities of God. And he says that there is therefore no doubt that Allah has made these two names manifestations of his two great attributes and reflections of his divine disposition to illustrate the true nature of Rahmaniyat and Rahimiyat through the mirrors of Muhammadiyat and Ahmadiyat. Then, since the perfect ones from among the followers of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam partake of his spirituality and are like the limbs of the essence of prophethood, he determined that in order to perpetuate the heritage of this holy prophet, they should inherit these two attributes of his, as he had made them inheritors of his spiritual lore. He therefore admitted the companions of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam under the canopy of the attribute Muhammad, the reflection of divine glory, and admitted the promised Messiah alayhi salatu wasalam under the shade of the attributes Ahmed, the reflection of divine grace. This rich bounty was bestowed on them only by way of reflection of divine attributes, and thus in reality no one was associated as a partner with him in his attributes. So the thing which to understand and to know about these two attributes, Rahman and Rahim, is that here the promised Messiah is explaining that they are not only to be understood as the qualities of God, but they're in their limited capacity, they can be, as he said, reflections in the nature of prophets and their followers. So therefore, this means that in general, the men have the capacity to mimic in their limited capacity the attributes which Allah has in an infinite form. And we mimic from the prophets, which have the greatest capacity of these qualities. We should therefore try to, just as someone, if we see that Allah is merciful, we should also adopt mercy in our life. If Allah shows his generosity, we should also do likewise. If Allah shows forgiveness, we should also do likewise. So this is a general rule, and this is something we should understand. But in this commentary, the promised Messiah has alluded to these similarities of Rahman and Rahim with the attributive names, or the names which every name is sort of an attributive or means something, Muhammad and Ahmed. Qul huwallahu ahad. Say, He is Allah, the one and only. Ji, il est Allah, l'unique. Tu keh de ke wo Allah ek hi hai. So here in the next ayat of Surah Al-Ikhlas, we have the first word, which is qul, and the translation of this word is say in English, and en français dit, Urdu mein keh de. And the next word is huwa. This is translated in English as he, en français il, and Urdu mein wo. And Allah, as we explained before, the name of Allah is always remains the same in every language. The next word is an attribute of Allah, ahad. Ahad is translated simply as one. En français, unique, Urdu mein ek. So under the commentary describing these, this ayat, Hazrat Muslim al-Razila ta'ala anhu says the word kul, or say, here embodies a permanent command to all Muslims to keep proclaiming God is one. So when we say Qul huwallahu ahad, when we say Qul, we should be reminded that this is a commandment for us to continue repeating Allahu ahad, that God is one. Then the next word, huwa, is translated simply as he, is used as damir al-shayn, which is a pronoun, and meaning that the truth is signifies that the truth is embedded in human nature, that God is, and that He is one and only. So this pronoun stresses the fact that the reality which lies deep inside our nature, that we understand that God is one. And then about Allah, the word Allah, the Arabic name of Allah, here Hazur says that is the distinctive name used for the Supreme Being in the Quran. In the Arabic language, the word is never used for any other thing or being. It is a personal name of God, neither attributive nor descriptive. So there's a distinction between the name Allah and other attributes like we are looking at here as Ahad in this ayat. And we spoke about the other attributive names, Rahman, Rahim. Allah is neither a descriptive name nor an attributive name. So it's just Allah's used specifically for God, the Supreme Being. And for further elaboration, Hazur mentioned that in the 5-volume commentary, verses 1:1, we can find a more deeper explanation of that. The next descriptive word or description of the word ahad, he says, which is translated the one, is in epithet, or we can say characteristic. I put here in orange italic letters. This is just added in for understanding of the either pronunciation or the words that are being used. This is not actually from the actual text itself. I just added that in there. This is a characteristic applied to God alone and signifies the one, the soul, He who has been and will ever be one and alone. who has no second to share in his lordship nor in his essence. According to Akrab, the difference between Ahad and Wahad when used about God is that whereas Ahad signifies oneness of God in his person, the idea of a second being inconceivable, Wahad signifies uniqueness of God in his attributes. So it's a slight difference that that Ahad is just speaking about in numerical numbers, whereas Wahad is is talking about the attributes of God, that their uniqueness, that there is no other uniqueness, no other created, no other being that is like Allah. There's uniqueness of Him only, and that's the difference between these two Arabic words. In the commentary, Hazur says that in view of the above mentioned signification of Ahad and Wahad, the expression Allahu Wahad, Wahad would signify that God is that supreme being who is the source and fountainhead. Sorry about that. Would mean that Allah is that being who is one and alone, in the sense that when we think of Him, the very idea that there is any other being or thing is absent from our minds. He is one and alone in every sense. He is neither the starting link of any chain, nor its last link. Nothing is like Him, nor is He like anything else. This is Allah as conceived and presented by the Quran. Allahu Samad, Allah the independent and besought of all. Allah l'indépendant est celui que tu suppliant. Allah be ihtiyaj hai. So again, Allah, the first word here is Allah, which remains the same in every language. And then the next word we have is As-Samad. As-Samad is translated as independent. En français, indépendant. Urdu में be-ihtiyaj. So under the important words in the commentary, Hazrat Muslim Maud Ta'ala Anhu says that As-Samad, which is independent and besought of all. So the two more in-depth meanings here. The simple translation was independent, but if we take here in the detailed explanation, is both these meanings are understood of As-Samad. Is the substantive noun from Samad means a person to whom one betakes oneself if one in one's needs. Samad also means a person or place above whom or which there is no one. As-Samad means means the supreme being to whom recourse is had for the accomplishment of needs, who is independent of all and upon whom all depend for their needs, who will continue forever after all creation has ceased to exist, above whom there is no one. So in studying the word As-Samad, we come to realize when we offer prayer, and that should be a realization that we have when we are reciting this surah, that not only does it speak of the uniqueness and unity of God, but it speaks about the fact that everything in this universe, everything that is created, everything that is around us is dependent and is always inclined towards getting benefit or getting replenished out of that source. And if we think about our life and how life exists, everything exists because it is dependent on something else to fuel it, to give it life, to give it substance, to, like the air we have, the food we eat. There is needs that we understand in this creation, in the science, that everything is dependent on its existence by something else. And without the replenishment, outside replenishment, everything that exists we see comes to an end, and meaning that it always relies on something, and it has a beginning and it has an end. But here, the understanding of Allah that we find in the Holy Quran and in this ayat, in this surah, is that there is no God like Him. There is nothing like Him, and everything is dependent on Him. And He is not, as we'll see further on, He is not. He does not have any creation from beginning to, and neither He was created before or He was created after. So this is a very wonderful surah, and when one thinks over it and ponders over, they come to more of a better realization of the characteristic of God. Then Hazur says that, on commentating on this, he says that in the preceding verse, the claim was made that God is one, alone, and unique. The present verse substantiates that claim. It says that God is as-Samad, that is, all things and beings depend upon Him, and He is independent and besought of all. So He's independent. Nothing, so completely opposite. We all depend on God, but Allah is independent of everything, and everyone depends on Him. That's what the meaning of as-Samad, meaning of besought of all, meaning that we all are depending on Him. All have need of Him, and He has need of none. He needed the help of no being or material to create the universe. So when all things and beings are dependent on Him, and to Him we have recourse for our needs and requirements, and He fulfills them, then where is the necessity of any other God? In fact, nothing in the universe is complete in itself, not even the smallest atom. So here even the Hazrat Muslim Maud is explaining the science, and this is the wonderful thing, that if we go into science, that even he's saying the smallest of atoms also are not independent of themselves. Nothing is self-subsisting. Everything depends on some other thing for its existence. God alone is such a being who depends on no being or thing. He is above conception and conjecture. So we can't even conceive, we can't even completely grasp and understand what kind of being God is. His attributes know no bound or limit. So it's limitless. His qualities and his characteristics are limitless. This is the meaning of as-Samad. Lam yalid wa lam yulad He begets not, nor is he begotten. Il ne gendre pas, ni ne il engendre. Engendré. Na usne kisi ko jana or na wo jana gya. So inshallah, I'll continue these last two ayats in my next class, which is on Wednesday, inshallah. Jazakumullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.